Hey there, Eugene here. Hope you're all well. Today I've got for you a review of Dries Van Noten from Frederic Malle. So, when I was getting up this morning, it was quite cold. I had the window open and I was snoozing the alarm for a good 2 hours. I just didn't want to get out of bed. But when I finally did, it was cold out. And although I didn't see it raining, I could sense that it was wet and cold, and I was just so cozy in bed I didn't want to move. But after I got ready and I was checking my fragrance counter for something to wear for the day, I was looking for something quite specific with the traits of warmth, woodiness, and something sweet. Kind of something to replicate just laying in my warm, cozy bed. And a few things popped up and I quickly put them down, and those were from Parfums de Marly Herod, L'Instant de Guerlain Au Extreme, even music for a while by Frederic Malle, and I think at one point I had picked up Cartier's L'Envol. But the second I saw Dries Van Noten, I was like, that's exactly what I feel like wearing today. Very warm, very woody, and a lot of sweetness. But not childlike sweetness, very sophisticated. So this is a collaboration between Dries Van Noten, the fashion designer, and Frederic Malle, who have a mutual respect for each other. Frederic had actually said, when he was describing Dries's work, I believe he called him bold and eclectic. And although I wouldn't describe the perfume as eclectic, it is quite bold in the sense that perfumer Bruno Jovanovic made it quite loud, never obnoxious, but it definitely makes your presence known. And I don't have any problem smelling this perfume. In fact, it's one where I can smell with pretty much every single breath that I take throughout the day. And those are all very satisfying breaths for me. I have a very healthy relationship with Dries Van Noten. It wasn't always so. At one time I thought it was way too sweet, but I can definitely see what they were trying to pull here. This perfume is mainly about sandalwood, and it's about, the warmth and coziness of that sandalwood note. It is an Indian sandalwood, and it is quite milky, creamy. I even get hints of, let's say, pencil shavings. Never gets into that hamster cage shavings, but I do notice it's quite sawdusty, and from that sawdust I get a little bit of powder. But there's also a jasmine in here, a white floral. There's some spices, clove, saffron, musk, vanilla. There's definitely a lot of vanilla in here. When I was trying to decide, or trying to figure out what genre I would put this under, it's definitely woody, but I think I'd classify this as an Oriental Gourmand because it really has a lot of elements from both. So from the Gourmand, it's got those sweet notes, edible notes. It's very, I almost said cookie, but cookie seems kind of immature, and it is more biscuit like than cookie. And from the Oriental theme, it does have a lot of those powdery, ambery vanillas. It's got a little bit of, I think I saw, is it Peru balsam in the notes? Which does give this a resinous feel. I get a lot of resins from this, and which would make sense. It kind of or help me understand why I'm picking up incense from here. So it's probably coming from those balsams. But what Frederic and Bruno were trying to capture with this perfume was just walking out in, I'm guessing, Belgium, in some large city in Belgium, just out in the hustle and bustle of the city, being outdoors in the wintertime, in the wet, in the cold, and looking for shelter and relief inside of a cafe, and coming into a cafe and being greeted at a table with hot tea and biscuits, sitting next to a warm fireplace. That's probably where the smoke notes are coming from. I smell smoke and I immediately think fireplace, wood burning logs, fireplace. So that's exactly, how I feel when I smell this. It's got a lot of warmth, this perfume, and it's got a lot of sweetness, and I think biscuits automatically. And they're not like chocolate chip cookies. They're real biscuits, sugar biscuits. At times I want to think, or I get a sense that they're actually Christmas cookies or Christmas biscuits because of the cinnamon note in here. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, those are those Maria biscuits. We've all had them as probably kids were gnawing on these, but it does remind me of tea and biscuits. What I love most about this perfume, though, is the colors and textures. And I don't think I've ever really come across a perfume that is, so deep and rich in textures and colors. For colors, I get mostly yellows and browns and whites and off-whites, maybe some creams. But the textures is what really stands out. I'm just going to put some up in the air. I get a lot of resins from this. It's a lot of smoke, a lot of creaminess, a lot of milkiness. And it's just blended to absolute perfection. There's times where I have a hard time picking up, what's starting where and what's ending up where. But textures, it's quite scratchy, which makes me think, there's patchouli is listed in the notes, and I can't actually pick up a patchouli note, but I do get that, that visualization of brown, and I get that scratchiness that I'd normally associate with a patchouli note. So I can't smell the patchouli, but I can feel it and I can see it. It's got a lot of that scratchiness. I pick up incense, almost like, you're sitting in this cafe and you're sharing a tea and biscuits with a good friend who you were just outdoors with in the cold, shopping, window shopping, people watching, whatever it is you please to do out. And there's maybe some incense burning in this cafe. I want to say a very beautiful perfume for the colder winter months. So anytime from late fall to right up until the end of winter is when I would enjoy this the most. I can't see myself wearing this in the warmer spring and summer months, but that's not saying that you can't. I wouldn't. It might become a little sweeter than it already is, and possibly cloying, but really enjoyed this. Like I do most Frederic Malles, which are, all pretty much exceptionally well made and crafted, and a lot of thought has gone into them. But looking at the packaging here, I'm pretty confident I read somewhere that Frederic had called Dries Van Noten bold and eclectic. But looking at the bottle here, it looks very simple and minimalistic, very streamlined, very just easy on the eyes. Unlike his other collaboration with Albert Alves from Lanvin with Superstition, you know, it's a little bit more. The bottle seems a little bit more. There's a little bit more thought, I think, went into that. Not to say that this is boring or not as well made, but the Superstitious bottle has, you know, it's that would I say, I would say that one's a little bit more eclectic without getting into the tacky zone than this one is. But there you go. It's my review for Dries Van Noten. Something to keep you warm during the cold winter months. So if you've tried this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this? Or anything else you might want to say or leave a comment. But I want to thank you for watching, and that's all for now. We'll see you again soon.